There's a lot to be said about the Filipinos in large that we could learn from the First Nation peoples of the North Americas, because they're in a process of reclaiming and thereby creating a new culture by addressing the old hurts, the generational trauma, bringing back old tradition, but not being stagnant as to what it was before, because you can't ever go back, but you can take features and bits of it and bring it forward into the new paradigm of where you're living at, because being a citizen of a modern state, living in the 21st century, those kind of things, and thereby creating a new culture. And that's what I find with like the resurgence of Filipino cultural events, like these giant Fil-Am events that's happening all over the West Coast and the East Coast. The event that your father put on for all the organizadors. It's an opportunity for Filipinos to define and be Filipino.
Yeah, because even in that certain small level, right? The Filipinos there is like, oh yeah, we have our own martial arts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we've always carried this bolong, but it was only to cut grass and like coconuts and bamboo. It was like, oh, I can fight with this thing. So it was
mind virus. Yeah.
It was beautiful. So anyway, that whole demonstration was a rousing success, and it established Arnis there, some martial arts on the time, including side by side with karate and judo. So my father even expanded it after. Expanded it because my father was he studied theater. He was a theater actor, director, and writer. So he had. Because there was no movies in the towns, there's no electricity, so he revived another cultural thing, which is called the zarzuela. The zarzuela is like it's a mobile play.
Oh, okay.
So he put together a performing group. We would that group would our theater actors basically. That we would bring town to town tell stories, entertain people, but along with that there was the Arnis demo team that went in there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So anytime we go to a small town, people come from all over, because that there was no TV, there's no movies there. It's like, okay, this is the entertainment for the day. So everyone, the whole town would come into the plaza and watch that performance, because we have singers, we have drama, and then drama or the theater tells a lot of the story. We would reenact plays from our legends or our heroes. We would reenact those, and then the fighting part of those, that's going to be where the administrators come in, or we would have our own demo. So we traveled on if you look at the map, there's a lot of little towns in province. We went to all of those to promote Arnis and propagate the art, but at the same time bring culture to the people. And they said, wow, we have our own stories, it's not just, because if you think about it, our culture is replaced by something so boring. It's all Catholicism.
Yep.
There was nothing else, if I could think about it. Like, hey, you know what? We have Datu Sumakwel, Datu Paimburo. These are like grand datus, grand lords, daimyos at the time of the Philippines. Nobody even heard of those names across the Philippines. These are localized daimyos that ruled that part of the Philippines, and it's beautiful. There's a lot. They have stories. We have legends. We have everything. We have our own versions of warriors, monsters. Oh man, it's like Lord of the Rings. Like I have those stories because I loved those stories when I was a kid. So anyway, so that's how I started. I learned with Mang Ben, and then after that meeting, I developed. He would come into the province like a couple times a year, and I really followed up with with my training. But then one summer, my dad said, "Do you want to spend summer with your lolo?" Oh yeah, they see those guys, and yeah. So there was one summer. I wasn't in high school yet. I was a really young boy, because like uh, the head of Lightning Scientific Arnis International right now, Tita Pati, my aunt is what do you call this? The daughter of Mang Ben. I stayed at their place and I spent the whole summer there with my lolo sleeping in his room. I slept on the floor. I liked it. And Tita Pati would be like cooking for us, make sure we're taken care of. I was taking care of. It was my first time to be away from my parents, but I didn't care. I was just like, I was so into martial arts then. And then my grandfather didn't have a school that he taught with. He does private tutorial, private students. They have a school run by Mang Pinong, and a lot of his students. They meet once a week. In Tambo, in Parañaque, and everyone gathers there. All the students, all the teachers gathers there. Mostly the first generation students. He would check on everything. He would show the technique of the week. He would follow up with them, because these guys, so I know, were also teaching on their respective schools. So he would do like, hey, just want to check that, hey, you know what, you're still guys are good. He would demonstrate certain techniques of the weeks that he wants to delve deeper. You know, he would explain it, why this, why we do this, why we do that, and stuff. So I was there, and I was introduced to those first generation students. Again, the only kid in town. There was no kids class. I was just there, so they were like, they had fun drilling with me, because I was this little kid and I can respond totally to their inputs. It was beautiful too, because there's a lot of like some of these teachers, they do the drills the different way, and I would like adapt to it right there and then. And if I do it, it's like, oh, cool. And you know, there's a thing like, hey, you know what, this is the grandson, and you know how it is. They were like, okay, so there was like, okay, they was like, oh, we need to test this guy. Although he was a little kid, but there's a sort of like expectation of you, in a way, which is as I grew up with that, you know, it became a challenge, right, to have that expectation of you. But I've always taken that expectation as a positive, so it made me train more. Because like, I just don't want to be known as like you know, the grandson of the grandmaster. I was like, I need to prove myself. So
you gotta earn your spot.
Yeah, totally. So
so I'm going to revisit some of the cultural features in here, because for one, the backyard systems, the secret systems, the family systems, that's tribal learning. That's how, and for one, to defend the land of the people, one needs to learn the way that our forefathers learned how to defend the land and the people. And being a patriarchal or patrilineal tradition of warriors, father son teaching that, for one, it keeps an oral tradition, it keeps a cultural tradition, keeps it a sense of identity. And what a beautiful way to do that, by, for one, going and spending a summer with your grandfather and your grandmother and living with them, so learning them, learning their household and those around them. So you're creating a sense of identity in self, and thereby healing a lot of things. Because the other aspect, what really struck out to me, is that traveling performance group, cultural performance group.
Yes.
What a way
did that.
Yeah. What a way to heal generational trauma brought on by colonialism. Because you get to tell the indigenous stories, the legends, demonstrate the sense of power and identity by having all these unique cultural features that were forgotten, denied, and exiled. And what a way to reclaim a sense of identity. And you see that now here in the States, or just in the wider diaspora, of the younger generation. I will say my generation is really the leading this for the benefit of the generation thereafter, is that doing these cultural events to celebrate the things that were lost and creating something new. And a primary feature of that is through performances, music, and martial arts.
Food. Don't forget the food.
Food. Food. You got to feed everybody after the event. That's the best part about all those.
Like the first time they try Filipino food, it's like, it's like, it connects you. Food connects us all.
Yes.
In a certain way. So I agree with all of those. It's a great way to introduce something to a public while they are captivated, with different things. As I said, we have a lot of cultural dances that we include, music, storytelling, and then the martial arts. So that's what I'd like to see here too. And you see it too, but when we go to like those Filipino festivals here, you would see. I'd like to see it when the Philippine cultural dances are being shown. Shout out to like Lex Crisostomo on our FMA East Coast. He brought the folk dancers there with the tinikling and the
nice.
pandangos ilaw and pangalatok. So a lot of the students who haven't seen that,
so Jensen,
it's great. Hi Jensen, I didn't wear your shirt right now, but that's gonna be my trademark, your trademark now. But what do you call this? They watch this tinikling, right, where the footwork just jumps on like the rhythm on the sticks. If you're not careful, you're gonna get hit. And they see, this could have been used for footwork or something like that, right? Or you have the I think it was Pangalatok, where you're attached like shells here, and then you hit that certain point, which is, as we know, it could be this too.
Or checking where your weapons are at.
And then, even the Fandango sa Ilaw, where you have the a glass here with a candle, and then you move it around, and you're not having it fall back and have a candle here. That's like balance training. And that's like, dancing with like a glass here with a candle there and not falling off your head, so then they see it's like, wow, that could work here too, you know what I mean? So it's beautiful. You're right, bringing that up. I think it is definitely a great way to showcase our culture here.
Because like the mission of GM Rey Prestas, of course, originally was to propagate Filipino culture. The modality was martial arts, and just the same with GM Bobby. I mean, it's propagate the art, but the art is also the people and the culture.